Ladies and Germans, how are you all doing? This is Conulvik.
This is Rangru. Hello, hello, hello.
And folks, give me some more monthly tournament coverage today on Orchard East. What do we have, sir?
On the left-hand side in the blue, we have Luna playing Russell Springer for Maverick Income. Right-hand side in the red, we have Her Robert playing 7th Mechanized Corps. Also we have a Maverick Income.
Here's to be happy about the fact that we know this is Luna here, and it's not like Skippy Dippy Fun Guy that we find out at the end of the game is Luna.
Yeah, actually, maybe Robert might be Luna and Luna might be Robert. You never know. You can never trust the names.
Are you saying that Luna might be going through a phase?
Yes.
Fair. But yes, Russell Sprung, the division of a little anything and everything a chap has left over in the bottom of that barrel, up against the 7th. So this could be kind of interesting as the Polyglot division attempts so much to take on something that is, well, a lot less poly and just very, very glot.
Yeah, but we're already seeing up north a pretty heavy investment. Actually, Pack 38s and infantry being brought out here from Luna. I've seen smoke being deployed from Her Robert to allow his infantry to get into position. But just looking at everywhere else on the map down south, pretty standard. PE2 is just going to be completely annihilating that forest. Is Her Robert? He has a decent target. He got a decent hit.
I would say probably. The funny thing here is that he actually only dropped those two. You were just about to say that, weren't you? He only dropped 2 bombs.
And they ran right into him.
Oh man, that's brutal.
Like that's funny. I don't think that was intentional, but how the infantry were running backwards. If it just ran forwards, they would have avoided the bomb.
I'm just more surprised about the fact that the actual bomber itself didn't drop its entire payload. It only dropped about, well, a third.
Oh.
Weight-wise, he dropped about 40%, but that's a number that we're going to worry about another time. In the meanwhile, SU-152 is to the northern side here, and I imagine the second we see this SPW continue to be frisky, I'm surprised we actually aren't seeing much more aggressive play here happening from Herr Robert.
Yeah, he's actually playing pretty defensively. Like, he hasn't really moved anywhere, anything. I think he's waiting for Luna to make the first major engagement. He's just pretty happy setting up where he has with all his armored vehicles, which makes sense, because he does have the tank advantage, and you might as well wait for the enemy to come into your tank gun range.
Especially when you are still up, and it doesn't matter whether or not the enemy actually engages. If you're just bleeding him, who cares? That's fine. So I should kind of see that first push here. We are going to see Brandenburgers and the Strauss-Jägers coming back into the trees, carefully picking their way over the bodies of their former comrades, now a steaming pile of bouillabaisse down in the woodland grove there. But they're not moving too much further past that 50-yard line, which is surprising. And probably a good idea, but just very surprising nonetheless.
It's a shame that Robert didn't manage to really exploit that bomb and run down south. He didn't have enough infantry or just troops in general to exploit it. And now he's going to pay the price here, because this nasty German force should pretty easily deal with 2 after Machiki's grudge.
Will he really pay for this? Because think about it. The Machikis, again, now with a beautiful, beautiful 100-meter range. Still a little short, but the Brandenburgers have to get awfully close to be seen.
Yeah, they have satchel charges, so can.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Here I am, trying to go and talk about the wonders of the Papa Shah.
And then someone just sticks a bunch of German grenades together with duct tape.
Yes. Yes. And one of those spots is going to evaporate. They both evaporate. Okay. Looking elsewhere, as now the only thing down south is a single PTRS squad going, I know I'm not here.
Shh, shh, shh.
Unfortunately, he needs to take another lesson on the importance of not being seen. Because it looks like he's going to get his entire lip valve shot off. And yep, there he goes. Unfortunate, but that is all that's left down south. T205 going to be coming around, just kind of swooping hither and there. And for the moment, Herr Robert, I think, is just, like you said, he's letting Luna dictate, which is not something I expected to see that really happening. I kind of thought Herr Robert would be a little more aggressive here.
Yeah, especially losing down south with really not much of a fight. That's always an area you don't want to give up easily unless you're going to go hard somewhere else here. And that is just, a tactical, strategic decision you see people make. I feel like Robert is gearing up for some sort of northern offensive. He's got the KV-1 being brought on up. He's doing some maneuvers here, but Luna just has a great position at Pack 38. Perfect line of sight and gets a rather easy peasy kill.
Yes, he does. So they might have to revise my thought process over here about the P38, excuse me, the Pack 38. A little derisive to it over on Tuesday, but I suppose I can kind of maintain that kind of more aggressive position, considering the fact that at this point the KV-1 is dreadfully out of date.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to either be like, no, Khan, you're absolutely wrong. It was completely and totally in date here. It's still fantastically on shape. But you know
There's
what?
no need for an IS tank.
Okay, thank you. There we go. Now, he still doesn't have the assault gun, doesn't he? No, the assault gun went down as well. Jeez, that Pack 38 has been doing the Führer's work here. And that Veltro realizes that, wait a second, there are guns that can shoot up at me, and those guys are going to die pretty darn quickly if it's not careful.
Yeah, and we're seeing Brandenburgs in the center slowly make their way through, clearing out some more after Machikis here.
Meanwhile, PE2 returns to the Devil, the northern side. Brandenburger and the Gebirgsjäger realize, yes, that's right. We don't run back into the bombs. We run away from the bombs, and they manage to keep their lives, at least for the time being.
They've learned from their brethren.
Clever girl. In the meantime, Gebirgsjäger's Fusiliers is just kind of doing the beautiful moment of just destroying that 76-2 with their rinky-dinky kind of Kennedy 8s. Not too much of a shock there. And that push in the center, which I thought was going to be a little more aggressive than what it had been, Luda's just content to wait.
Yeah, both. This is actually quite funny. Like, both sides, even Luna hasn't been that aggressive. Both are playing Maverick. We're just seeing, really, Luna just amass force in the center, as well as kind of in the northern side as well. He's going to be moving in his Gebirgs and Brandenburgers once again to try to retake that little farmstead here. P3 going in hot. Perfect contact with the Pack 38.
Really like these 75mm howitzers here, kind of engaging. These are the equivalent basically of Pack howitzer really overall there, folks. And it really had the opportunity to give a ton of support value for one. A ton of friendly fires we're seeing right now here too. And just some nice HE that I think Russell Sprung doesn't really get too much of, in my perspective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they definitely are a bit lackluster in everything apart from the infantry department, as they're a bit more accustomed in hunting down partisans in the mountains of the Balkans.
Now, we're no longer in the Balkans here, so you can see right now the Maxims are chewing the Stasiegos to pieces, but the P2 coming on up, I imagine this could be the beginning of a more major push by Luna up that gut.
Yeah, I'm actually quite surprised you don't even see like a KV or T-34 tank in the center here. Really, you just want to be spamming those T-34-76s for Robert, as they are pretty nasty tanks up when they're only up against Panzer IIs, Italian tanks, and really only a couple cards of proper anti-tank guns. Like, just spamming those guys and maneuvering around the map, Robert can get some pretty good work done.
But he only actually has 4 of them over here in that early phase, because we're not to phase B just yet. We might see that happen in D.
Mm-hmm.
Heck, we might see that happen in C.
I'm going to guess both sides are just not really wanting to invest too much in this A phase, just due to attrition. Maybe we'll see the heavy attack coming into B here. But still, this is quite surprising just how, I mean, we've seen both these play before. It's just very, very passive.
Oh, well, the thing is, we're starting to see a bit of a push to the central position here now, and the one thing I'm surprised we haven't seen is little Katya.
Oh, yeah.
We have 2 of them. We could be seeing Stalin playing that beautiful, beautiful organ here twice. And we're not. So I feel like this is that moment that I'd be saying, okay, I know he's making a push. I barrage that entire section right there, and there's nothing he can do about it.
Or heck, even just the KV-1 off-map. This would be a perfect 1-2 combo.
Also true.
You know, off-map and push up. I believe the KV-1 off-map still retains its main gun, which is quite nice.
Yes, it's one of the rare ones that get to do that. In the meantime, PE3 comes on and obliterates its own flamethrower troop, and Yeah, we're just seeing a lot of just awkward attrition over here on the part of Herop, just dropping units really without too much of a care.
Yeah, both sides definitely have the anti-aircraft game on point, because we're seeing both planes get annihilated. Another PE-2 going to be coming in hot, gets its load off, or the Black Villain get the kill.
It really shouldn't, but it probably will now that I said that. And the bombs are surprisingly mediocre.
They have been.
Meantime, Strokey's coming on in, Ogdemachiki doing the Ogdemachiki thing, and down south, where I legitimately thought Herr Robert was going to seize a very, very decisive advantage, it is in fact Luna who's in the waxing phase.
Got 14-10. We're seeing a pretty heavy investment here from Robert to go into the center, because he's probably realized, oh god, about to get pushed off his hill. Really can't afford to lose that top position, so he will be getting those troops in. This is the problem also fighting against Rosser Spring is, by god, infantry is quite nasty, especially not just a more traditional Soviet division, with just the basic Soviet troops. I mean, Gebirgsjägers, Brandenburgers, or the Fallschirmjägers, it's a nasty combo. It's all the Jägers.
That is certainly the case. Now, we are going to see that 203 off map. Now, at long last, has been brought here to the center. A little late, but, I mean, better late than never, I suppose. And we're also going to see more and more anti-air deployed in the central position here. We have a couple Flak 38 20 mils coming on in. We have the Flak Virlings coming on in. Pak 38 takes out another T-34 76. And the Commandant is even on the actual field.
Oh yeah. Kind of, I would say not command him from the front, but close enough at least. And this is going to provide a rather hefty veteran boost. You see most of the guys there now. 3-star veterans, so you got Flak 38s as well. So it's going to really come down to his KV-1 off map, just annihilating his force if Robert wants a chance to get a good foothold back into the town.
Well, the nice thing about this, too, is the KV-1 doesn't have to worry too much about actually getting close to the front line to actually fight. He just kind of says, oh, yeah, fire over in that direction, and that'll be enough.
Yeah.
This PE-2 will go down, though. Mark my words.
He should. He's almost out of ammo. Not much to defend himself. PE-2 coming in, but I think that's a pretty nasty anti-aircraft net.
Yes.
Yeah. The veterancy definitely helps out quite a bit.
Yes, it does, and he is nothing now but a smoldering husk on the ground. ISU-76I is being brought on in, which is kind of a funny thing, too. This guy's, again, no machine gun whatsoever, which is exactly what you want to have when you go against an infantry division, is 0 machine guns on your tanks.
Enough HE sounds at least, but where is he deploying them? He is deploying them up north, which makes sense considering he is starting to lose our position as well. He has a decent defense at least along the hill in the forest, but we're seeing Luna just heavily invest up here as well, using artillery effectively, bringing up all his infantry troops. He should, you know, if he just deals with his SU-76 reinforcement column, he should be able to get into that farmstead and then just lock it down.
I suspect he will be able to do that before too much longer. Now, 2 of them are being placed in the central position, which I think is just more of a backup for the KV-1s that are down there. That said, you know, you need a lot more there than just a couple squads of Strelkies and a couple SU-76 tanks.
More infantry troops up north as well. I think Luna is far north? Yeah, it's the far north, so he's going for a rather heavy investment here. And Robert, you know, starting to invest quite a lot into the tank department now. I think it's going to be very curious to see just how well these tanks do here for Robert. It's once again the classic tank versus infantry dichotomy. You know, if he can play in the open, his tanks will do fine, but if he's forced into CQC fights, they're just going to get buggered from all the Panzerschrecks and Panzerfausts.
That's true. That's true. Just remember the old kind of phrase, if you can dodge a Shrek, you can dodge a ball. So, we will certainly see how fleet of track these guys are. 203 does have its first barrage coming over here in the central part of that town, so we're going to see property values plummet with those shells in the next 10 seconds. And also having some Straf troops coming on in here too. Well, it ain't going to be pretty for Luna.
No. Yeah, going to take rather heavy casualties here. I think it's just going to be about whether her robot can do an effective counterattack. The tanks aren't coming in just in the nick of time. He does have a decent amount of infantry. And there we go, the hits are dropping. And they're dropping hard. Oh,
yes, indeed. This is the greatest hits kind of album. Like, this
it
actually
is.
works really quite well.
Yeah, it's just, he needs to follow up now. He cannot allow out force to set back up into that position. And this is now or never. And yeah, the Su-76 is going over here with a Panzerstreiko. He's ready to go. He's not stressed. He's dodged those rockets. He's listened to your dodgeball advice. So he should have a pretty fun time against these SUs.
That does seem like potential. One Su-76 is down. Unfortunately, bullets are a little bit harder to dodge than, you know, Panzerstreik. And we're going to see another kind of barrage here dropping right back down here. Was the Commandant dead? No, the Commandant's not dead yet, but if he's not careful, he will be.
Yep. Oh, 2 cluster bombers being brought in up north to deal with this blob. Both gonna get the bombs off.
Wow. A single kill.
What? Come again? Like, wow. Those Stukas are very cross-eyed, you could say.
That's okay, because Bartelt over here in the central position has taken out the KV-1 before he could go and get his last artillery strike in, which is good, because a lot of his compadres over here are getting obliterated by the last lingering shell hits.
Yeah, but there's still enough infantry alive there to regain that position and defend it, so it's not the worst thing, really. Honestly, Luna did a very good job defending that center. He did lose a lot of his anti-tank. But fortunately, there's not a whole lot of tanks to follow up through, and goddamn Bartel, he's a maniac on the dance floor.
He certainly is. Certainly is. So I was watching the Ju-87 in the meantime, coming in on his nice little gun pod runs. Engaging, and I don't know if he really was able to take out, but he certainly put a lot of stress into that attacking column with his ground attack cannons. 230, no, excuse me, SPW 841. And the French 35S over here, the APW, ooh, both die in seconds of each other.
Synchronized kills right there, but we do have the backups of the Pak 38 and the Pak 40 being brought onto the hill. And, yeah, good little ambus position. They should be able to do quite a decent amount of work against all these SUs.
They should. They should. Another PE2 over here in the middle will be engaged and potentially shot down by the vastly reduced anti-air net. But no, he's able to limp away successfully. The northern side, the Pak 38s are going to go just turn that Su-76 push into just husks. Just husks. There's nothing left.
Yeah, just good defensive position. And honestly, Luna's been trading very effectively with his very limited anti-tank. He does not have a whole lot of cards and resources available, but he's been knocking out a lot of these T-34s and a lot of these SUs in rather beneficial engagements. Here in the center here, Robert's actually starting to win the infantry engagement. He just has enough dudes with machine guns now in a decent defensive spot where he is just out shooting the Germans, which is quite surprising.
Yes, I would say with a bit of an asterisk. I think it's one of those things, though, too, that we forget that Russell Sprung doesn't have the same intense ability to have that medium to long range fight. Yes, they have a lot of junk, and that junk can be very good. Unfortunately, the amount of junk that they have doesn't come with the most amount of ammo either.
They have junkers, Khan.
That's true. They also had, excuse me, not have currently. They have one less DO-17 getting taken out by, again, all that beautiful, beautiful AAA.
And
finally, at long last, with 30 seconds left to go here in B phase, we finally see little Katya. So, little Katya's on the field, so expect to see a barrage right at those flak. The flak Vierling.
Of course.
About 1,000 meters west.
Or trying to, like, counter battery the 75mm which is out of ammo.
Yes, but the Katyusha doesn't know that, and neither really does the 75 ammo. They've been told, No. It's the communists. They're hitting our supply lines again. It's totally fine.
It's always the communists. Bro, we're losing this war.
Ah, freaking Lenin. Which actually at this point would have been dead for what, like 10 years? I don't know. Unimportant.
20 years.
20. Jeez, it was that long. I kind of forget
Yeah,
that.
it's like 23, so technically 21 years, but you know, it's...
Well, technically correct, so that's kind of correct.
Yes.
And now that we see the Katyusha on the field, I feel like he's going to actually engage the town, because now we're trying to go and take that back. He can't do that. It is going to be nigh on impossible unless he applies an awful lot of HE delicately to that entire front.
Yeah, Robert just has enough to defend his lower edge of the hill here, but once again, you know, with Russell Spring, all you're going to be doing is buying really good infantry, so he can just keep, you know, funneling all these elite and shock troops into that town to, you know, hold the line on his end. And also, the nice thing is all his elite troops come in pretty beefy, like, trove-man squad numbers, and so they can trade pretty efficiently against all these strokey DPs here.
True. And the guys who can't trade effectively do have ways to kind of even the odds, like, again, sniper rifle teams, who also have, again, the GRB-39s. So that's basically, of course, the German copy over here of the PTRT. Now, we are going to see the Katyusha barrage has engaged just the PaK-40 and the APW-41. So I'm underwhelmed. Not quite like that PaK-40. The PaK-40 is just under so much pressure, he's just falling apart. But, I don't know, I feel like Katyusha is a shock unit, and it's not necessarily a, oh yeah, there's a position there I need to take unit.
Yeah, it's always the risk of MLRS, because sometimes it does do very well as a precision tool to knock out key units, but then there's also other times where you only get like 1 or 2 decent hits. Is always the major risk here. Like, yeah, it probably would have been a little bit better utilised into the centre here, but he really does not have a whole lot left in the centre. He's got T-34s and a bunch of Superiors being rushed on through. Once again, if he can just keep his tanks alive long enough to provide infantry fire support, he should start running these engagements. It's the keeping them alive part, which has been a bit difficult.
Kind of amazing it's been that difficult, to be fair. I mean, the Russian units are not wilting flowers. They're equally beefy, I would argue, to a lot of the German equipment here in the meantime.
Yeah, I mean, those T-34-76 is some of the better tanks you can get in this match. J-87 is going to try once again.
Well, neither one gets their rounds off. And
Oh, no, second one does. But barely.
Yeah.
Both go
both
down.
Of them die. So I think he's tapped. I think one of them has already died over here in the meantime. So it still is 15-9. This doesn't mean with the death of these Junkers that everything is peachy keen, though we are seeing T-34 Su-76, excuse me, T-34-76 and Su-76s are on the gingerbread man's neck and moving delicately south-ish.
In a decent position. Once again, if he can just start utilising his T-34s, he can, you know, start trading efficiently here. And we're seeing in the central position, now he's got the tanks onto the hill in a safe position, not being engaged by enemy PaK-38. He's annihilating the infantry now. Now the problem is he just needs infantry of his own to actually do the bloody attack.
I know the way that you said bloody over there. I mean, a different thing than actually being a just deadly, deadly heavy cost, but it works both ways in this case. Katyusha, in the meantime, is going to try to find those 75 mils. Excuse me, it's 75 with 105. The other 75 mils much further to the north. I don't know that it's going to get a kill per se, but I will say that if he keeps it anywhere in that stress area, that could be maybe the moment that is needed by the Russians to get a little bit of an attack together.
Yeah. I mean, the Superiors and Strokies are starting to trade somewhat decently. Oh, there are LG-42s in the flanks, and rather nice little sneaky locations here And they're going to be slowly picking away at the superiors one by one.
Well, with a couple more seconds. Okay, maybe not. A little longer than a couple more seconds. SU-76, meantime, kind of being brought on forwards. Do you think they're Katyusha? No, just another SU-76 to the front. Guys, you can bring 2 Katyushas, bring 2 Katyushas. I mean, if you know you're going into sea phase over here where you don't have the opportunity to really have a strong artillery presence, then please, by all means.
And Khan just, you know, we like seeing the music. We just want to see more explosions in matches.
Exactly. Like that, look, 1 round takes out a 75 mil.
And of course the other one's gonna live on 1 HP. Such is the dice roll of MLRS counter battery.
Well, the other thing too, that it forced the Brandenburgers to drop out a couple hundred meters short of where they really, really wanted to be. Which is also, again, that's the attritional, beautiful, entropic kind of approach to this game, where you don't have to kill all the time. Just disrupt your opponent to the point that he can't do anything.
Yes. And speaking of not, well, I say not doing anything, but Luna's definitely doing something up north, using his shock troops quite effectively to really pick his rather big hole in her Robert's flank here. Really not a whole lot here to stop, and you know, Russell Sprung infantry are just going to rustle up those Soviets.
Yes, they will. There's 37 mil pop gun that's in the area that might be able to cause some casualties, but not for very long. And let's be fair, Brandenburg's coming on in. Geez, who just died? I wasn't paying attention to what kind of plane that came on.
There's a PU-2.
That would not surprise me. Robert does surrender, which I actually think is probably the best thing he could have done under the circumstances, just because of the pounding he was taking.
Yeah. Honestly, I think we can say that was a kind of a weird match. Like, both sides, like Luna run, but it felt like her kind of like off their mojo a bit. Like, especially her Robert at the start, he just seemed like he was a bit paralyzed in what he wanted to do.
Yes, and unfortunately, he's not saying he was paralyzed, but he's been struck by Luna. And Luna just went right through him on the way to kind of giving us this replay here. Looking at kills, the off-map, getting, 5 kills, not too shabby. 203, picking up a couple kills by himself. Excuse me, I mean, that's the KP1, that is. But other than that, very, very little to kind of write home about.
And the losses as well, nothing really too crazy either, just Luna, just managed to force a fight in those annoying infantry grinding areas, and Russell Spring has very good infantry, so of course they're going to win that engagement.
This is true. This is true, though I will also say it was helpful that I think Harry Roberts' kind of passivity in the early part of the match didn't see the attrition that would have been necessary for Russell Sprung to get kind of kicked in the teeth and kind of slowed down.
Yeah, I'm still kind of annoyed with like a Southern attack because he had such a good bombing run and he never followed up after that. Because especially losing Forest early on sucks. And if he was to maybe just invest a little bit more down south, bombing run, clear out with some aftermachikis, and then get tanks along the edge of the forest to lock down the road, that's pretty much a sector of the map you're going to have under control for the rest of the match.
Exactly. It's such a straightforward thing, to be fair, that it's not really cheeky. It's just more of an auto play. So, But unfortunately, sometimes that's how the vodka runs out of the bottle. And it looks like today the 7th does get taken out by Russell Sprung. Any final thoughts, sir?
No.
Well, folks, we would tell you the spread over here from kills and losses, but we don't really feel like doing the math right now. Until next time, then, this is Con Ulrich.
I'm Rangru. Take it easy.